Hello. What's up? How you doing? Thank you so much for being with me. What an interesting time to be alive, to say the least. Wow, wow, wow. And yes, I did say wow. Okay, before I get into tonight's broadcast, I just want to say prayers to Diamond and Silk's family. Just prayers to them. It was pretty horrible. Last night I did a short video talking about these classified documents, or these top security documents Joe Biden had in the closet for 6 years, and I didn't even know at the time. I had no idea. I found out after the fact. I saw people saying stuff in the comments about, Diamond, and I didn't put two and two together because I really wasn't paying attention to the comments, and I noticed afterwards. So I just want to say prayers to Diamond Silk's family, and she will always be thought of, and she will always be missed. But never forgotten. Never forgotten. Interesting thing is the mainstream media didn't say anything really about her. It's like to them, it's like she's never even existed, which is pretty sad. And we kind of know why. So I guess, she made a huge impact on people's lives. She did. She made a huge impact. And they were always nice. She was always nice. Absolutely awesome. She made a huge impact in our country. And they don't even want to acknowledge it. They don't even want to acknowledge her. And I guess they're going to do the same thing for Will Johnson when Will Johnson leaves, checks out, right? They're not going to even acknowledge anything that you and I, or just not even just Will Johnson, just people who love America, who's been doing the right thing for America. They don't even want to acknowledge it. But they acknowledge all these other people that do all this crazy stuff. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me. I do have some... let me change this real quick. I just noticed something. I want to make sure I get this right. All right. Hold on. Bear with me. Okay. I should update it. All right. Cool. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Okay. Now that I've said that, and okay, so let's get on with this. I have so much I want to share with you tonight. These documents, the Democrats, the liberal media, they're all coming out in defense of Joe Biden. They're giving every excuse under the sun why Joe Biden should not be held up about this, should not be charged with any wrongdoing. They're already saying, "Oh, he didn't do anything wrong." Just ask him. Did he do anything wrong? And if he comes back and says no, then we'll just move on. That's essentially what they're doing. Just the opposite of what they did with President Trump. They don't want to they don't even look at it at all. Okay, look at this. Now, let me just get right into it here. This, they're talking about, because we have a new Congress, they're talking about the IRS, right? There's things on Capitol Hill now. They're talking about the 87,000 armed IRS agents. They come after the poor people because they're not going after the rich people, because it just came out that in 2022 that the IRS went after more poor people than they did the filthy rich. The exact opposite of what Joe Biden was saying. Now, what's going on here? Okay, listen to what they say here about Joe Biden. Not specifically about Joe Biden, but about the IRS. Listen to this, and I need to fix this.
Mark Green, Congressman, it's great to have you on here. You kind of just heard what Senate Finance Chair Ron Wyden just said, and he said it really basically is nothing more than a giveaway to the rich. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's insane. When you think about all the costs it takes for the audits for those businesses, and we're talking 87,000 agents doing multiple audits, add that to the price of goods. What's that going to do to inflation in the economy, which is already at historic levels? So they don't think about the downstream secondary and tertiary effects of their stupid policies. 87,000 IRS agents. We need 87,000 more CBP guys, Customs and Border Patrol folks, helping us with the migration crisis at the southern border. We don't need to disrupt our economy with 87,000 people picking through small businesses' pocketbooks.
All right, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with my system here. It's like acting really weird. It's really weird. It's never happened before. I'm like, I keep doing that. Look at that. Every time I hit anything, it just automatically switches, and I'm not sure why it's doing that. Let me see if I can fix it here. Look at that. It's like it's on automatic. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see if I can do that. Oh, okay. There we go. I just learned something. Did not know it could do that. Did not know. Learn something every day. Interesting. But okay, so the IRS, right? They have weaponized the IRS against the American people. We've already known this, right? We've been hearing about this, but now they actually get to look into it, and they get to try to stop it. They get to try to prevent the IRS from coming after the little guy, like me, the little guy. The small business, because the small business is the backbone of the United States of America, and that's what exactly the Biden regime and other Democrats been wanting to destroy. They've been wanting to destroy the small business in the nation. That's why they put all of these things, these roadblocks in the way, trying to hurt the small business, causing the price of goods and services to go through the roof, the energy crisis, all of the above, all of that. Okay. I just wanted to talk about that briefly because that's one of the positive things that's coming out of the House now. Now, another positive thing that's coming out of the House is now that they have cameras in there while they're debating. And guess what? I haven't seen this much action coming out of the House of Representatives since I can't tell you when. It's like I can't even recall the last time, except for when it was under President Trump. When they were trying to impeach President Trump, that's the only time that I remember anything coming out of the House. But other than that, nothing. It's like nothing, nada, zero, zip. But look at this. Looky here. Who is this? That's Adam Pencil Neck Shift. Listen to what he says about the new committees that's looking into the investigation of all the corruption that's been taking place. Been corruption left and right. Corruption all over the place, up and down, sideways, all around. Listen to what Adam Schiff says about the corruption. And listen, he's going to defend the deep state. He's actually going to defend the deep state. He's actually going to defend the FBI being weaponized against the American people. This was him today. Listen.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in strong opposition to the Republican Select Subcommittee to investigate deep state conspiracy theories. And if you had any doubt about what this committee is really about its true focus, my colleague from Montana just confirmed this is all about deep state nonsense. Republicans claim without merit that this subcommittee will investigate the so-called weaponization of the federal government. But what it's really intended to do is to undermine the legitimate investigation of President Trump's incitement of a violent attack on this building, on this Capitol.
Okay, let me stop it. President Trump never incited any violence. In the video that's been out there, he's constantly saying, look, be peaceful, go home, be peaceful, go home. And they know this to be true, but Adam Pencil Neck Shift is literally lying. One thing that I wish they would have, Matt Gaetz in the 20, one thing that I wish they would have done is that if a member of Congress, one of these House members, actually go onto the floor and literally lie, because he's lying, that they should be penalized for lying. And they should not be able to go onto the floor until that penalty is over with. You know how they put us in Facebook jail, or they put us, how they used to in Twitter, they would ban us, suspend our account until we delete something. They should do the same thing to them, because he's literally lying. Now, let me remind y'all, remember Adam Schiff, he was reading the transcript, and then he was lying when he was reading the transcript, and then he turned around and said, oh, it was just a parody. So I guess every single thing that comes out of his mouth is a parody, because he's lying here. Is he doing another parody? He needs to clarify. I'm doing the parody before I speak. That's what should take place here. But of course, he's not going to do that.
On this citadel of democracy, an investigation that implicates some of the very members of this body who want to sit on that committee. Make no mistake, this Investigate the Investors Committee will do deep damage to our national security. And
And you know what? The only reason why he's upset that they're going to investigate the investigative committee that was, the stupid committee that they created is because his name came up in the Twitter files. His name came up. That's the only reason why he's wanting to defend the FBI, because he had the FBI, right? Because he was over the intelligence community. He had the FBI weaponized against the American people. And now here he is on the floor trying to cover it up like it never even happened.
We breed distrust with our national security professionals who will be reluctant to share with Congress the information policymakers need to protect our country. The committee will also seek to discredit law enforcement like the FBI, who are so important in the fight against domestic violent extremism. Republicans in Congress just don't care. The greatest terrorist threat to our country comes from violent right-wing militia groups and their sympathizers, and Republicans in Congress just don't care.
Okay, so where's the proof on that? Where is the proof on that? I'm sick and tired of them talking about right-wing extremists being the biggest threat in the country, but where's the proof of that? He's saying it, but there's never any proof of it, right? Where's the proof? Because you could talk about what the Summer of Love, over $1 billion in insurance policies because of Antifa and BLM. They were attacking people throughout the entire country. And he's referring to what happened in January because people wanted to have their grievances heard. Not a single person died as a result of that. It was a police officer on the orders of Nancy Pelosi killing an American citizen, Ashley Babbitt. That's what took place there. But other than that, no one showed up that day and killed anybody. They didn't kill any police officers. They didn't do any of that. They wanted their grievances heard. And besides, the police officers were letting him in. And they can't remember that for some reason.
Last time Republicans were in charge of the House, Kevin McCarthy pushed to form another bogus select committee, that one on Benghazi. He did so, as he admitted, to tear down Hillary Clinton's numbers, a patently political exercise. Now McCarthy is at it again, pushed into forming this bogus subcommittee by the QAnon members of his own conference. Now, he sacrificed a lot in his bid for Speaker. That was his choice. But now the American people are going to pay the price in the form of a body blow to our national security. Vote no on this ill-considered measure. This is no church committee, not a bipartisan effort to reform government, but a partisan effort to tear it down and damn the consequences. Vote no.
Wow. I mean, I haven't heard them say vote no or vote yes on a bill in the House, and I can't remember. I mean, it's like, is this something new that they do? Apparently it is, right? And he goes on there and he lies, and he voices his opinion on it, and he's lying. But I'm like thinking to myself, what is going on here? Is this the new Congress? It is the new Congress where they have to go out and debate, right? Adam Schiff lies, and I guess that's the whole part of it. They can go out there and lie as much as they want to try to push a certain narrative. Well, listen to Jim Jordan. Now, who do y'all believe more, Jim Jordan or Adam Pencil-Neck Schiff? I'm going to go with Jim Jordan. Listen to what he says about all of this.
A ploy. It's not a ploy when the Department of Justice treats parents as terrorists, moms and dads who are simply showing up at a school board meeting to advocate for their son or daughter. It's not a ploy when the FBI pays Twitter $3 million, not one, not two, $3 million to censor American citizens. It's not a ploy when the Department of Homeland Security tries to set up a disinformation governance board, because we all know that the Department of Homeland Security can tell what's good speech and what is bad speech, I mean, you got to be kidding me. I tell you what, dozens of whistleblowers who've come talk to Republican staff on the Judiciary Committee don't think this is a ploy. That's why they came to talk to us. They know how serious this is. The former Democrat chair of the Judiciary Committee is in the press today saying we're going to fight this tooth and nail. This is political. But meanwhile, the former Democrat chair of the Intelligence Committee pressured Twitter to censor a journalist. You've got to be kidding me. This is the most important. This is about the First Amendment, something you guys used to care about. And I'd actually hoped we could get bipartisan agreement on protecting the First Amendment, the 5 rights we enjoy as Americans under the First Amendment. Your right to practice your faith, your right to assemble, right to petition the government, freedom of press, freedom of speech. Every single one's been attacked in the last 2 years. Government was telling people they couldn't go to church just a few years ago. Your right to assemble, your right to petition the government. The Democrats kept the Capitol closed. You couldn't, as a citizen, couldn't come to your Capitol that you pay for to address your member of Congress, to redress your grievances because Nancy Pelosi wouldn't let you in.
Sure. You know what? She wouldn't. She would not let you in. You could not address the people that you elected that work for you. They work for you. We the people are their bosses. We don't work for them. They're supposed to work for us. And when they don't do the right thing, they're supposed to be able to hear from us, our grievances. But Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats did everything they could do to make sure that you could not voice your opinion, because apparently your opinion does not matter when it comes to the kings and queens.
Freedom of the press, I just told you what the head of the Intel Committee tried to do to a journalist. The most important right we have, though, is your right to talk. Because if you can't talk, you can't practice your faith, you can't share your faith, you can't petition your government. The right to speak is the most important, and that's what they're going after. And that's why we've had dozens of whistleblowers come talk to us. We want to focus on that because we want it all to stop. We want the double standard to stop. This idea that if you're a pro-life activist, you're going to get your door kicked in, you're going to get arrested and handcuffed in front of your 7 kids and your spouse for simply praying in front of an abortion clinic and telling the guy who was harassing your son to knock it off. You're going to have the FBI raid your home. But the protest that went on at Supreme Court justices' homes in the aftermath of the leak of the Dobbs opinion, no problem there. Americans are sick and tired of it. And what we want, we don't want to go after anyone. We just want it to stop. And we want to respect the First Amendment to the Constitution that the greatest country in the world has. That's what this committee is all about, and that's what we're going to focus on.
And that's what the committee is all about. But of course, Adam Pencilneck Schiff wants to deflect. And like I said, his name came out in the Twitter files where he was actually pushing to have journalists removed from the platform. His name was in there, because his office was talking to Twitter constantly. And of course, he has to come out there and say, well, this is not true. It's the deep state. They're trying to say it's the deep state. There is a such thing as the deep state, because Adam Schiff just acknowledged it. He just acknowledged it. He's fighting against them trying to find out why the FBI is weaponized against the American people. And Adam Schiff and the other Democrats, they're all for it. Now, listen to this one, because they're saying that creating these committees and looking into the FBI being weaponized against the American people, they're saying it's going to backfire. They're saying it's going to backfire on them. Really? How is it going to backfire? They don't want the Democrats to lose control of the FBI. They want the Democrats to be able to continue to use the FBI as their right arm to continue to censor and suppress free speech in America via the big government. The big government is doing it.
Let's talk about this with my panel. And Heather, this issue about who's going to serve on this committee, this special subcommittee looking into alleged political use of the FBI and the Justice Department, who's on the committee is a pretty big part of it, because it may be that Congressman Scott Perry, Republican of Pennsylvania, is under criminal investigation. We do not know. They don't talk about it, but they've been seeking his phone. He certainly played an outsized role in the attempt to overturn the election. Take a listen to what Perry had to say when he was asked about serving on this select subcommittee.
Well, why should I be limited? Why should anybody be limited just because someone has made an accusation? Everybody in America is innocent until proven otherwise. And I would say this, the American people are really, really tired of the persecution and the instruments of federal power being used against them.
Exactly. The Democrats completely forgot the whole thing about innocent until proven guilty. See, according to the Democrats, if they don't like you, you're automatically guilty, and that's it. There is no innocence. And they have it in their mind that we don't even have to prove that you're guilty. And we're not going to even let you prove that you're innocent. You're just automatically guilty. That whole thing about innocent till proven guilty, to the Democrats, they go, what in the world is that? That has no place here. These people are not Americans.
Comment, thoughts?
Well, there's obviously, at the very least, the appearance of a huge potential conflict of interest here, right? And it's not just Scott Perry. There are others like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, other people who were under federal investigation or have been, have ties to some of these investigations potentially, who could serve on this committee. I mean, the thing to know about the Select Committee is the language authorizing it is very broad. So you don't have to be a member of the Judiciary Committee to serve on this committee, even though it's housed under the Judiciary Committee. The members get access to the same intelligence that the Intel Committee gets, which is just unheard of on the Hill. And the budget is rumored to be the size or larger of the January 6th budget. So we're talking about a multi-million-dollar select panel. It's unheard of.
And I believe, Neem,
So they have a problem with them having a bigger budget to look into all the corruption. They have a problem with that. If you ask me, that's going to be money well spent, right? We shouldn't have to do it in the first place. But these people are so corrupt. These people's minds are so gone. They don't care about the truth any longer. This is the reason why the country is in the predicament that it's in right now, because of people like this, because they look the other way when they are the ones doing the corruption. They look completely other way. Like it doesn't matter. See, Democrats are accustomed to doing wrong things. As long as Democrats can do wrong things and no one's going to tell them no, they are okay with it. And that's bring me to another point. They have done so much corruption. They have done so many wrong things, and no one told them to stop. No one told them it was wrong. So it became the norm. And it also became, this is the way the politics are ran. This is what we do. This is how things are run. We're not supposed to do a deviate from this. We're not supposed to do anything else from this. It's just like the movie stars in Nuttywood, Hollywood, Nuttywood. They believe that morals are actually on the big screen, having actual morals and fighting against all of the evil and fighting against the child trafficking and the sex trafficking of children and stuff like that. They only believe fighting against it is on the big screen. They're only make believe playing a role, a position. In the real world, they think that should be the norm. Do you understand what I'm telling you? And it's been like, I noticed that 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I noticed how Hollywood was doing that. Doing the right thing only exists on the big screen.
It says that they can look into ongoing investigations, which, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. I don't care which party is controlling it to be able to look into an ongoing investigation. Politicians shouldn't have any role in that.
Right. And who knows, what the purview will end up being, who ends up being on this committee. If it's somebody like Scott Perry, who seems to in some ways be compromised, the budget does suggest
somewhat to seem to be compromised. It's just like everything else. They said that these people are compromised because they feel that they might be compromised. There's no proof of it. There's no evidence of it. They've mouthed it off. And so just because they said it in their minds, it has to be true. And because they have it in their minds that it might be true, they don't want him to be able to serve on any committees that will look into the actual corruption that's been taking place in the country. That's what they're afraid of. That's what they're concerned about. They're not concerned about the truth, because if they were concerned about the truth, they would try to get all of the information out, but they're not doing that. They never do that.
Sort of a far-wielding power. But listen, these are some of the concessions that the hardliners won, that this Freedom Caucus, because they want to look into many, many things. They want to look into the January 6th committee. They want to look into Hunter Biden. They want to look into Dr. Fauci and the withdrawal from Afghanistan.
And and I noticed that they kept going to her when she's laughing, right? She like it's all stupid. They go to her for the chuckles. Why shouldn't they be able to look into this information? See, that's the problem. That is the main problem. If they don't want you to look at something, they don't want you to question something, they shut you down. And then they get the FBI and the federal government to step into the big tech companies and shut you down because they don't want you to know the truth. And these people are complicit with it. Are these people actually on our side as Americans? See, a lot of people say that we're in a civil war. And I truly believe that. And I've been saying it for a couple of years now, that we're in a soft civil war. It hasn't been full on fighting out in the streets. And hopefully it never gets to that. But I believe that we are in a soft civil war. The country is divided. These people on here, they're literally lying. And like I constantly say, just listen to them. Let me play it one more time here. Let me play just a little bit more of this. And listen to them. Because they're trying to see who can be the most convincing in the lies. Especially this one here. Listen, watch.
And this was part of what Kevin McCarthy gave up. I think it's going to be far-reaching, and I think one of the questions is it essentially going to backfire on Republicans? Is it going to be too far-reaching? So Americans say, what are they doing poking around on all of these issues when the price of gas is such and such, or they can't put food on the table for their families?
And Kevin.
Wait a minute. So they're poking around in all of these issues while the gas prices are high. She just admitted it. Where the food prices and the cost of living is high, and she just admitted. And then we have the border issue and all the other crises going on. But they don't want to. But then they want to look at President Trump's tax records. That's what's important to them. See, this is these people are nothing but a bunch of hypocrites. And they lie and they lie and they lie. Now, listen.
Look, obviously, the House of Representatives has an obligation to perform oversight over the administrative branch. No question about that. The question is, usually that's done with some adult supervision. And I have concerns. I'm hearing concerns about the 118th
Congress.
Look,
I mean, it's right, though. I think Nia's point is that this is essentially, in their minds, a promise made, and it's going to be a promise kept. And one of the most important planks in their commitment to America was this accountability and oversight. But I think the opportunity or the potential for it to be a political downside is great, because I think most of the Americans right now, most Americans during this midterm election, they were really focused on economic issues. They were really focused on these sort of like bottom line budgetary concerns that they had inside their household. And so any sort of oversight that seems to go outside the purview of that will, seem like it's out of step or it's not aligned with the concerns that they have. So
look, this is clearly the politics of vengeance. And what McCarthy has now gotten himself into is a huge corrupt bargain, which is the only way that he could have gotten the speakership, that he could have gotten the 218 votes. And we saw how painful that was last week. And so now what you have is essentially the next step is going to be extortion, and how these committee members, whoever it is that they are, and let's call it for what it is, it's really the insurrection committee, because all of those people were involved in some way, shape, or form, whether it's supporting the election denial or Scott Perry perhaps being investigated for actually taking a part in it. But it is all about getting back at the Biden administration for them investigating their efforts to actually kill democracy.
I mean, come on. Come on. So is she suggesting that the Hunter Biden laptop is not true? Is she suggesting that these new documents that Biden had for over 6 years in a closet is not true? Is she suggesting that all of the corruption that the Biden crime family has done is not true? Is she suggesting that the FBI was not weaponized against the American people? Is she suggesting that the FBI was not paid $3 million to Twitter so they can suppress the American people's voices? Is she suggesting that none of that took place? These people are insane. And I know a lot of people can't stand watching them, and I get it. I can't stand watching them either, but I share it so people will know the truth. Because, see, there's no way that we can, if we don't pay attention to what they're doing, we don't pay attention to what they're trying to implement, we don't pay attention to what they're trying to push onto us, then we will never know how to stand up against it. And that's part of the reason why we're in the predicament right now, because there's a lot of people in the past that could have made positive changes, that could have prevented the Democrats from doing all of this destruction to America, but they sat idly by and did nothing, primarily like the rhinos. Like Mitch McConnell is a prime example of that. Mitch McConnell purposely allowed the Democrats to win the Senate so that he could remain as the minority leader in the Senate. He purposely did it. And so many people out there say, oh, this is President Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. They're idiots. It's Mitch McConnell. President Trump, all he can do is President Trump can recommend somebody. He can endorse somebody. That's the extent of it. But Mitch McConnell, he could have supported all of the Republicans to win the Senate, but he did not want that to happen. And a lot of people didn't understand that, and they still don't grasp the concept on that. I don't understand why. I don't understand why. Now, in other news, you remember Joe Biden just here recently went down to the southern border, and right before he went down there in El Paso, they cleaned up the streets, they picked up all the trash, they made the people move out so that when Biden showed up and the camera showed up with him, none of the cameras would pick that information up. So I'm willing to bet that somebody from the Biden regime called the city in El Paso, called the mayor and said, hey, we need for you to clean up these locations before Biden shows up. We need for this to be, we need to have the photo op look a certain way. And of course, Biden doesn't go and he doesn't look at any of the episode. He doesn't look at any of the stuff that is actually happening. So the mayor in El Paso, he took pictures of all of the chaos happening in his city. And the only way Joe Biden saw the chaos is because he had a photo with pictures in it showing Joe Biden. That's the only thing Biden saw of the chaos on the southern border, from pictures, because they were forced to clean up everything else. Listen to what they're saying here on the Communist News Network. And the mayor even admits that Joe Biden, the Biden regime, has been working with the NGOs. He actually says it.
And I do, and we're going to show some more here. These are pictures, of course, scanned. Literally, your office gave them to us. We scanned them straight from your book, so people are seeing your pictures as you showed the president. Now, you showed him photos of the lines of migrants, and I know you're pointing out that it has gone down since then, people waiting outside the border. Now, he did visit the border, but he is facing criticism for not seeing any migrants himself. On many levels, Mayor, when it comes to, him personally, your binder is as close as he got to seeing the true chaos that has been unfolding on the ground. I know you mentioned.
You hear that? He said, this is Communist News Network saying this. She literally just said, your binder. I'm sorry. I know some people don't like this, but I have to take it back. Listen, she literally said, your binder is the only thing that he saw when it came to the chaos on the border. A binder? Are you kidding me?
On many levels, Mayor, when it comes to, him personally, your binder is as close as he got to seeing the true chaos that has been unfolding on the ground.
He's at the border. They cleaned it up so he would not see it. They moved all the people out so that it would. So it's not that he wouldn't see it. It's so that the cameras with him wouldn't see it. Because the stupid people that believe Joe Biden is still doing a phenomenal job and those cameras are following and they go, there's nothing going on in the border. It's all secure. It's all perfect. Fine and dandy. And she literally says the only way that he saw any of the chaos is because he saw the pictures in the binder that he had. Now listen to his response.
I know you mentioned that the Homeland Security Secretary has been down there 20 times, but do you wish that the president would have been able to see some of this for himself?
But the president talked to the NGOs. He went to the people that were providing the shelter, talked to the bishop, also talked to the Border Patrol, talked to Customs, and talked to the people that are providing the service and people that are out there day in and day out. And it's very important to him to see what they needed, what type of services they were providing. He talked to the El Paso and Feeding the Hunger, which is providing meals, has provided over 18,000 meals to the asylum seekers. So he talked to them and talked to them about what was going on and how he could continue to provide service. I can tell you that the federal government has provided a lot of funding for El Paso to provide these services. He did spend a lot of time, and what he did a lot was talk to the people that actually were providing the service for the asylum seekers.
The NGOs. So that's who we talked to. What can we do to help the NGOs bring more people into the country, to coach more people to make the trek to the country? That's what Joe Biden did. Joe Biden didn't go down to the southern border to stop the influx of people coming in. He went down there to see how he can increase it, my opinion, because they're not going to stop any of it. He could, you know what, because Congress, when President Trump was in office, Congress had already passed it. Enough money to complete the wall. What did Joe Biden do on day one? He did an executive order to stop it. The money's already there. The money is there, people, to complete the border wall. Joe Biden stopped it. Why would he do that? And he's still not doing anything about it, because they want to destroy our country. They do not care about the safety and the security and our sovereignty in this country. They don't care. All right, now I'm going to start talking about those docs. Those docs, the 6-year-old document that Biden had in a closet, and how the Democrats are trying to say that Joe Biden, you're giving Joe Biden all the excuses in the world. All the excuses in the world. And I'm going to show it to you, but you're going to have to join me on my Rumble page. You know, I got to go over there because some of the stuff I want to say about is, you know, a little sensitive. So join me over there if you want to see it. And for everyone that's on Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much for being there. Thank you so much for the blessings. I really do appreciate you being there. And I'm going to ask you, please share the video, Facebook and YouTube. And also come join me on Rumble. It's free for you to be on Rumble. You can go to the link right there in the browser, or you go to uaf.media and click on Rumble, and it'll take you directly to my channel here where you can watch the feed. All right, I'll see you over there.